So, and you can see too, what's really nice with EdPuzzle is you can look at all the other lessons people have made. So you don't necessarily have to recreate the wheel, which I love. So here you can see, right, this is other video versions. So these are all people that use this video and created EdPuzzles with it, and you can copy them. And then edit them however you want to edit, and then push those out. So it's really nice because a lot of times someone's already done it, and you don't need to recreate the wheel. You can take it, tweak it, make it your own, and push it out. Then to just go back, right, so you can go back to your content, and you're going to see now, right, that lesson is here, and you'll see there's this little icon down here, and that shows you that I have 3 questions notes, and I have an audio voiceover in there. You can see these guys here don't have anything there yet, and that's because I haven't actually done any questions to them. And this one you can see has a little markup because it does, and I'll actually share this one with you guys so you can see what it looks like on the student end. Then say now, okay, I have it, I'm ready to share it with students. You go to My Classes. You have a couple of ways to share options with students. The first thing is if you do use Google Classroom, you can sync your EdPuzzle with your Google Classroom. And to do that, you just go to add a new class, and then you would click Google Classroom, and you would just pick whatever classroom you want to import. So now you can see I have my practice and my practice 2 class in there. You can also add a new class manually. So you can create a new class. I can say this is my spring 2020. You can add a description if you want. So you have 2 ways for sharing, for having a class. You can have a classic class. This is where your kids will actually need to join your class. So it's the same idea of kind of like how manually creating classes in Google Classroom or Seesaw or Flipgrid, where once you create it, you're going to get a little code, and then kids would then go to EdPuzzle and type in that code, or you can get a direct link. And then when you push out that link, kids would click that link and they would create their EdPuzzle account, and then they'll be in your class. But basically it does mean that they need to create an EdPuzzle account. They are allowed to, it follows the privacy laws, so they are allowed to do that. But it is mean that they would have an account in one place, and they would just use their Google account. So they can sign in with Google just like you can. If you don't want kids to sign up and join one other thing, then you can do an open class. How an open class works is that kids will still get the little class code. They will go to EdPuzzle, they'll enter the code, but they won't have to create an account. But what that means is they will have to type in a nickname. So something so that you can identify who they are. The big difference between classic and open is going to come when you get to the gradebook feature, and I will show you how that can be different. Classic, you're going to be able to see there, like if you're going to use this a lot, where you're going to maybe push out like a video a week, you'll be able to see all the grades for kids across the whole thing, and you can start to get that linear data. With open, you have to open up each lesson individually and look at just the scores of the kids that way, because again, right, they don't technically have an account with EdPuzzle, so it can't track them across multiple videos, like bring all their scores into one place. So that's the main difference between open and classic. So it really just depends what works best for you. You can also let EdPuzzle generate students' nicknames. So like if you want to do something totally anonymous, that is another option as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll go classic. And I'm going to create a class. And so here I have my spring 2020. So I'm going to invite students. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this and put this into our chat, so that way you can join our classroom. Let's see if I can get into the chat. So it's not showing that to me right now while I'm sharing. Or Tiffany or Julie, could one of you copy this into the chat? Oh wait, I found it. Never mind, I lied. There we go. So if you guys actually want to go to that link, just copy and paste it into your browser. You can join the class if you want. You do not have to. But if you want to see what it looks like on the student end. But yeah, so that is the class. Any questions on creating a class and inviting students? You can see all I did was copy and paste a link, and that's how I would invite students to my class. And you would do that for a manual class. If you want Google Classroom, they'll automatically be imported in, so you don't have that, skips that step completely. If you want an open class, then you would give them edpuzzle.com and the class code, and then they would join that way. Questions on creating class, inviting students? Awesome.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Which one do you normally do with your class?
I usually,
Classic?
if I have a Google Classroom, I will use Google Classroom just because it just makes it easy. It's one less thing. If
Okay.
I don't use Google Classrooms, like if you use Seesaw mainly, then I would just do the class where they still have to join. And that's just because I like how the gradebook works then, because I have everything in one spot versus having to go to each video individually and not seeing that linear data.
Okay.
So then say I want to assign a video. So what I would do is I would go to my content, and then I would click on the video I want to assign. So I'm actually going to assign a real one that doesn't look so bad as my silly ones that I just made for you. So I made one I found a TED Ed video on how the immune system worked. I thought it was kind of relevant at the time. So what I can do is I pull up that video and I'm going to click assign. And I can choose what classes I want to assign it to. So if you like for Seesaw, if you have multiple classes for Seesaw, right, you might want to push this out in different places so that those kids stay grouped in multiple groups. Like if you have, I know like for middle school teachers, right, they might have different classes for Seesaw that way. Or if you have different, maybe smaller groups that you work with, you can do that. I'm just going to push it out to my spring 2020 class right now. And what's nice is you can assign it to everybody in the class, or you can just pick a few students. So right now I see Michelle's in our class, right? So I could just send it to her. If you want to go to all students, then you click assign all. So what's nice is you can do all students, or you can just do a few select ones. Maybe it's a reteach video for a concept only like 5 students are struggling with. You could do that. Once you want to hit assign, some things to look at: your start date, your due date. So maybe I want this to be done by Tuesday. You can change the time that you want it due by, click save. This is important. So prevent skipping. This is my favorite feature ever. This means that kids can't just skip ahead to the questions. It forces them to watch all the video up to that question. They can always rewatch. So say they get to the question, they're not sure and they need to rewatch a part, they can do that, but it doesn't let them skip ahead. So if you don't want kids skipping, then have this on. And you can always change it later. Turning on closed captioning, I always recommend this because it's just a good accessibility feature for your kids to have closed captioning there. Post on Google Classroom. So if you are doing this to a class that is actually also in Google Classroom as well, this will give you the option, so it'll create a post in Classroom for you. So you don't have to go in a classroom and manually create a post about, hey, EdPuzzle, you have an assignment. It'll post for you so that your kids see it. So that's a nice little feature too. Once you have all this done, you can schedule it to go out later, or you can assign it to go out right now. And I'm going to go ahead and assign it. And so now you can see I get some feedback on that assignment. Questions on assigning or pushing out an assignment. All right. Once you've pushed it out, this will kind of be like this will be your little feedback area. You can see the students' names as you have more students, they'll show up. Actually, let me go to another one that already has some data for you guys. And actually, so you can see this is going to be what my grade book looks like. And I can just pull up that. So you can see these are, if I were to look, this is that same feedback I was getting just on that one video. So I can see from my 3 students how much of the video they watched. So you can see Tiffany didn't watch the last 10%. I turned off skipping for them, or I allowed skipping for them because they were just being my practice students. So she only watched 90% of the video. So you can actually keep track of how far students are in the video. You can see their grade. You can see I haven't graded Julie's yet because I had an open response. So I don't have full grade, the last watched, and if it was turned in on time. So that gives me some information on that. So now though, right, I still need to grade some questions. So I can see here I have I can also get individual feedback too on them. So the multiple choice question, 3 out of 3 got right. For the open-ended, 2 out of 3 got right because I haven't graded one yet. So it'll tell me again, right, I need to grade. What's nice, it's really nice in letting you know you need to grade. So if I click this, it'll bring me up to any questions that need to be graded. So I can go ahead and read the responses. If you need to watch the video again because you forgot, you can preview the video. Once I see the question, I can say it's wrong or it's right. It always defaults to 100. I haven't figured out how to be able to change that, so I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. And you can also leave a comment, so you can give them feedback. And then again, right, what's the role of phagocytes? Again, give them feedback. So now I can see all the graded answers. So my class rocked, none of them got wrong answers. They all got it right for the first question. For the second question, I can see, right, you can see on here, I gave feedback. So you can see some of the feedback I typed. So I realized maybe Julie didn't get feedback. So now she has feedback on hers as well. And you can go in and you can actually change like the score manually afterwards. So you can make it be a certain percentage of 100. I don't think you can change that it's out of 100. I haven't been able to figure that one out yet. So that is kind of how you grade answers. To see an overall picture of it, you can go to your gradebook, which is up here at the top. What's nice with gradebook is that this is where I do like having a closed class where kids actually create accounts versus an open class. Because an open class, you'd only be able to have that single page that I was just looking at where I just get the info on that one video. But if you have the gradebook, you're going to start getting feedback on all the videos your kids do, right? So right now they've only done one, but once I assign my second video and it's graded, all that info will be here. I'll get a average score, and I'm also going to start to see how much time they're spending. So it's nice because you can start to track, like, are you having kids that are spending a very long period of time on this? Maybe they need some extra support versus maybe kids that are kind of racing through it. So it gives you just some extra data that you can use, which is really nice. So I don't, again, it's kind of up to you on what you need with it. If you're going to be using a lot of videos, I'd recommend doing this. If you're only going to be using this every now and then you might just be fine with an open class. It really just depends what works best for you. Any questions on gradebook? All right, and then the last thing on EdPuzzle is you can organize your content a little bit. So it'll start to get a little busy once you've got 18-bit videos, things like that. So you can start to create folders, which is really nice. So you can see here, right, I have a little folder that I put videos that go together in. So maybe I have, like right here, I'd have a lot of social studies videos. So what I would do is on those, I would click the little check boxes of anything that I want to put in a folder together. And then you'll see down here, I have some options. And so I could assign all those at the same time. I could move to a folder, or I could delete them. So I want to move to a folder. I don't have a folder yet for social studies, so I'm going to click new folder. Actually, we'll even just change this. We'll just say American history. Click create folder. So now that folder exists here, I can select that folder. I'm going to move those to the folder, and now those are there. So it kind of just, again, it cleans up my content page so it's not as chaotic. And that's EdPuzzle. Are there any questions on it? Like I said, it does one thing, and it does the one thing well, and that's what I like about it. It's simple, it does it well, it isn't no flashy bells and whistles. Awesome, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing.